You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
A very tense afternoon in Ferguson after a teenager is killed in an officer-involved shooting. Good evening, everyone. The shooting happened around 12:30 this afternoon at the Canfield Green Apartments. Officers from more than a dozen agencies are sorting out what happened. News Channel 5's Grant Bissell has been on the scene all afternoon. Grant, what's the latest on this?
Well, Kelly, as you said, this has been a very volatile situation all day. Just within the last hour or so, things have finally started to calm down just a little bit. Details are still coming together at this point, but here's what we do know right now. A teenage boy was laying in the street here for nearly 4 hours, dead from a shooting. We understand it was a Ferguson police officer that shot the teen. Witnesses say he was shot multiple times. And we don't know exactly what caused the shooting at this point, but as you said, there are lots of officers here from nearly every department. Many of them are trying to help control this scene. Earlier, there were hundreds of bystanders out here who were absolutely fuming over the boy's death.
Breaking news tonight in Ferguson, where tensions reach a boiling point following an officer-involved shooting that left a teenager dead. Good evening. Police officers from every jurisdiction in the St. Louis area are heading to Ferguson tonight. 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot and killed after a struggle with Ferguson police yesterday afternoon. Tensions boiled over tonight near the intersection of West Florissant and Ferguson. And News Channel 5's Elizabeth Matthews was caught in the middle. She joins us now live. Liz?
We have heard that there has been looting. We saw with our own eyes the looting at the liquor store where people rushed, went through the glass, went in to get stuff, supplies from the liquor store. We also saw that there was a fire behind a strip mall. That's all kind of in that same area on West Florissant.
Breaking news. Police fired tear gas on protesters in Ferguson. A day that began with promise of peace ends with another showdown on the streets. And 2 members of the national media arrested.
Let's get right to News Channel 5's Christina Coleman. She ducked for cover as tear gas filled the air. Christina?
Right, I was ducking for cover because of the tear gas, and just moments ago, police were telling us to duck behind our news vehicle because they weren't sure what was happening at an apartment complex nearby. I'm looking at them right now. They're trying to direct traffic. They have been shouting at people to go the other way, turn around. They're like, man, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for your safety, so we're keeping an eye on that. But, you know, police were trying to clear out the street near the burnt-out Quick Trip, asking the crowd to disperse peacefully, but many of them got back onto the streets. They got back onto West Florissant over time.
Now, road crews have been working 24-hour shifts to try and make the streets and highways passable. News Channel 5's Casey Nolan is live along Hampton tonight. Casey?
Yeah, Mike, just about as fast as they can plow it, make any kind of progress, the snow covers the road again. It's hard to tell if it's still coming down or just blowing, as you can see behind us there as a plow goes by. We only spent about 45 minutes with the city street crew. Just out and about up and down Hampton, and this is what we started to see as people started to get a little braver. They ended up getting stuck.
Now, despite the snow and the cold, some spots in St. Charles are open for business tonight. News Channel 5's Ann Allred is live there tonight. Ann?
Mike, we're at a plaza at 70 and 5th Street. Woo, big wind just blasting me in the face. I hope you got your groceries, because this is quite the food plaza. And the wing place, the Mexican place, the sushi place, the grinders and pizza place, they are all closed. But the place where you can go burn off all those calories, yep, it's open for business. Mike Bush spoke exclusively to the president and joins us live from the White House.
Well, Ann, here at the White House, the president tried to make his case for raising the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 an hour. He says it will help almost 600,000 Missouri workers and 1.1 million workers in Illinois. We spent the day with President Obama and some of his senior advisors here at the White House, who say in real terms the minimum wage is worth less today than it was in 1950. The St. Louis Rams will introduce their 2014 draft class tomorrow, and the headliner will be one of the last players the Rams picked. This is a new photo of Michael Sam as he prepared to board a flight to St. Louis today. Over the weekend, Sam became the first openly gay player to be drafted into the NFL. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:30, he'll face the media in St. Louis for the first time since that choice. The big question is whether Sam, a 7th-round draft pick, can actually make the team. Sports director Rennie Knott says there's some recent history on Sam's side. Rennie?
That's right, Mike. The last time the Rams had a 7th-round draft pick was back in 2012. Running back Darrell Richardson, he made the team. He rushed for 475 yards as a rookie, too. Michael Sam probably isn't as big of a long shot as Richardson. Keep in mind, Sam was a unanimous All-American in 2013 at Mizzou. He won SEC Defensive Player of the Year honors. He had 19 tackles for sacks, including 11.5 sacks last season.
Dr. Jose Martin is on staff at Washington University and did his fellowship in forensic psychiatry at Yale. He used his expertise to figure out why veterans with mental illness had to wait 30 days to receive care in St. Louis.
One of the top suicide rates amongst veterans.
Dr. Matthews says his analysis showed that psychiatrists were seeing just 6 patients a day, which he says is about a 4-hour workday. When he mandated doctors increase the patient levels to 9, the chief of staff allegedly said there was a mutiny and demoted Dr. Matthews, giving him an office, he says, in the basement.
They met.
Kayla was a tool be placed right here.
We shared our fact.
40 straight days.
Your life is moving so fast, but you want to know what's happening.
Alyssa, did you fake cancer?
We report so many stories, and they evolve and change.
Everyone wants their child to go to their neighborhood school.
You want to keep up, and we want to keep you informed and be smarter for watching.
Your story actually made it possible for us to get our money back.
So tonight, we put our reporters and anchors into the field to ask the question, and then what happened?
Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Tonight, we will follow some of the biggest news events and stories, and some of the most heartwarming to show you what's happened since they first made headlines.
It's flamingo bombing. You'll just wake up one morning and they'll be in your yard.
On a quiet street in Richmond Heights, they never thought it could happen here. 41 flamingos. When will it stop?
This young couple moved in and they actually had pink flamingos.
And then they just started spreading and spreading. And I said to my husband, I said, do you think that they're making fun of me?
It's a pink mystery, a pinkstery, wrapped in a quandary, rocking a party hat, wearing a scarf, and occasionally painted blue.
My mom doesn't like pink flamingos, so she painted these ones blue, so she could be different, I guess.
Mission accomplished. If you're thinking these random acts of flamingo are just flamboyance, you're right. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. 8-year-old Eleanor is flummoxed by the flamingos.
I thought that it was weird that people just started getting flamingos.
What do you like best about them?
Because they're pink.
And because Lucy likes to tweak their beaks.
I have no idea who's doing it. It's obviously somebody with, is a little bit cracked, but got a good sense of humor.
My theory was that it was Ken.
I am not the flamingo bomber.
And why should we believe you?
Yeah, it's a good point.
The circumstantial evidence seems flimsy. Ken organizes neighborhood block parties.
That's how it starts, right? I guess being a block party leader is a gateway to other things, but I have not actually planted any flamingos on anyone's yard.
So far, no solution for these silent centuries of mischief, and dare I say it, the T word.
I thought they were a little tacky, yeah.
Has this changed your mind, or are they still tacky?
No, they're pretty tacky still, but we like them.
5 on Your Side spent the past 3 months investigating the types of helmets being used at more than 140 area high schools, asking the question, do local schools have the safest helmets possible? Every high school football season, Friday night lights shine on fields all over the bi-state area. A closer look reveals they also cast a dark shadow. Studies show that athletes playing football are twice as likely to suffer a concussion than in any other sport.
I didn't want him to play football.
How come?
It's too rough.
Janet Hill's son, Charlie, plays on the Fox High School freshman team. He got the ball on the first play of the first scrimmage of the year.
The play kind of got messed up a little bit, and I wasn't really looking where I was going, and I got picked up by the linebacker.
Another boy just slammed him, and I mean, he went up in the air and then down on his head.
The season was still weeks away, and doctors told Charlie he had suffered a concussion.
It got worse and worse for a few days. When school first started, I had bad headaches walking to my classes. I got dizzy.
Though he didn't know it at the time, engineers at Virginia Tech University have spent the last 10 years doing research with players like Charlie in mind.
Of all sports, your risk of head injury in football is the greatest. And what we try to do is how do we bring that risk down to where it's even with the other sports.
Dr. Stefan Duma and his team of biomechanical engineers research everything from auto safety to protecting military troops. They've also spent a decade looking at football helmets. So how can parents find out what helmets their child's school is using? A 1-star or a 5-star? We have taken all the information and created a huge database along with a number of interactive tools to give everyone the opportunity to see the latest information. Here's Kay Quinn.
Right now on KSDK's homepage, you'll see our 5 on Your Side investigation on football helmet safety. You'll be able to watch the story here and also check your school's database. You click on this line here and that will take you to another screen where you can enter your school name or use the drop-down menu. And that gives you your school's helmet star ratings. You'll see the make and model of the helmet, plus how many of the helmets your school has. You'll also see the action taken. That's your school's response to the Virginia Tech study. So visit this story at ksdk.com where you'll find in-depth information about our helmet investigation.
4th night in a row for this. Now, what's next for the region, especially in North County, in the wake of the police shooting that killed Michael Brown?
Here's News Channel 5's Art Holiday.
It's been a turbulent 5 days. Demonstrations, confrontations, looting, and vandalism. And there's been a second police shooting. A St. Louis County police officer critically wounding a man who police say pointed a gun at him early Wednesday. Long term, many of us are wondering, what's next? How do Ferguson and nearby communities recover, and what will it take? The facts as we know them. 18-year-old Michael Brown was unarmed when an unnamed Ferguson police officer fatally shot him. Witnesses say Brown was surrendering with his hands up. Many questions remain because answers are few and far between, at a time when transparency from those investigating might inform the public and lessen distrust. While Michael Brown's family grieves, while local and federal investigators sort out what happened, Ferguson and surrounding communities are teetering from days of violence.
Gunshots.
Cooler heads are not prevailing.
Don't shoot, hands up!
To the lawful protesters who want to fight the power, if your goal is meaningful change, then by all means, use your anger as fuel to make things better. But to those who loot and burn and shoot and senselessly destroy the businesses of people who had nothing to do with Brown's death, you're making things worse. Hashtag, please stop. As the protests and tense confrontations continue,
They sicken the dogs on us.
with SWAT teams and police dogs as a show of force, we're left to wonder about the what next after the tears and tear gas fade away. 5 tumultuous days in August will transform Ferguson in one way or another. The mayor says the reason Ferguson has only 3 black policemen out of 53 is that not enough young African Americans want to be cops. How do we convince more black men and women to become police officers or run for public office in cities like Ferguson, whose officials are mostly white, while the community is 2/3 African American? Is the black community willing to do its part to stem the plague of black on black crime? Spray painting snitches get stitches won't get the job done. But this incident is a crossroads for Ferguson and the region, and an opportunity to address critical issues decades in the making. Will we seize the day? If we don't, Michael Brown's death, already tragic, will be in vain. These are complex issues that have been raised in Ferguson. Quick fixes and easy answers are unlikely. Art Holiday, News Channel 5.
Good morning. We're out here at the start line, 13th and Olive. Of course, it has been so much excitement. So many people out here. We were high-fiving random people. You can see the crowds are still streaming by now. Looking great. Good morning.
Just a great scene here. The church bells are still ringing. There's a survivor going by.
Welcome back. We are live at the finish line here from the annual Coleman Race for a Cure. We've got all the tutus who were with Kay earlier. They actually finished. They walked all the way through. They've got the little horns things working over here. They are a dangerous bunch to deal with, but I figure with all these thousands of people coming through, they were nice protection for us.
15,000 pounds of fireworks will go off over the next 3 days. We're back after this.
Welcome back. We're following breaking news this morning. A small plane down on the Page Avenue extension.
That's exactly right. News Channel 5's Andy Broadway is on the scene, which is right near Creve Court Airport out there, Andy. So what are you seeing right now, and what's the latest that you've gathered?
I'm on the shoulder of the eastbound lanes of 364. The traffic that was stopped behind the fire trucks earlier, they've let that traffic through, but the eastbound lanes coming out of St. Charles County into...
News Channel 5 continues to follow the breaking weather situation. This is what it sounded like in St. Peter's around 7 o'clock tonight. Things were still pretty calm when these sirens sounded. All of that changed about 30 minutes later when heavy rain and strong winds moved through the area. No reports, though, of any injuries or damage.
The storm made driving dangerous, if not impossible. Photojournalist Frank Scalisi got caught in a hailstorm on I-64 near Clayton Road tonight. The windshield wipers couldn't keep up with this storm.
We have team coverage of the severe weather. Our crews are all over the metro area.
But let's get right to the First Alert weather team. They have been tracking the storms all night long. Great job, Cindy and Mike. What's going on right now?
Well, at this point, we now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for part of Perry County, Missouri. Mike is going to track that for me and circle it. So this individual cell is making its way to the northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour.
That is a full-blown tornado coming right towards us.
Tornadoes, relentless destruction.
We just said our goodbyes and in that closet.
Nature's reminder that destiny changes in an instant.
I just pray every day for the Lord to give us strength.
Sadness.
Like, why are we having to go through this? Like, that darn tornado.
And gratitude.
We all felt lucky. I mean, you know, God saved us.
Tonight, we look at how recent tornadoes have shaped St. Louis, the destruction, the recovery, and how you need to be responsible for your own survival and your families.
Good evening. I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Cindy Pressler.
And I'm First Alert Meteorologist Mike Roberts. Tonight we bring you tornadoes surviving the deadliest storms. It's springtime, and that means severe weather could hit the bi-state in a flash.
In the last few years, tornadoes, some deadly, have left a footprint on both Missouri and Illinois.
Is why the county was hesitant to talk to me.
Explain to me the deal first before we close the cameras off. No, hold on. He's with me. Whether the camera's on or off, he's with me.
Camera on, Jefferson County Councilor Wes Yates did talk about the vehicles. He says the ordinance does not limit the number of cars Wolf can have. And during a county visit last spring, his vehicles did start.
These are county taxpayers who feel like they are not getting their money's worth from what they pay.
And I'm sorry for that. All I can say is that if we find derelict vehicles out there, he'll be cited.
Well, let's go out there. We'll go with you and look at them just to see.
I have asked the code enforcement to take a look at that, and that's what they will do. They're either doing that today as we speak or tomorrow.
The parents of Michael Brown have been very active here at the United Nations in Geneva. They say they are very grateful that their voices can be heard on this international level. After meeting with international media, Leslie McSpadden and Mike Brown were surrounded by the press as they walked through the hallways of the UN in Geneva. And people noticed, often stopping to ask who they were.
Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow.
Poet, activist, St. Louis native Maya Angelou. Tonight we remember her life and pay tribute to her contributions to the arts and civil rights. Good evening. Maya Angelou died this morning at her home in North Carolina. She was 86.
And in those years, she left behind a legacy that can only be described as remarkable.
We have never shown the face of Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. Why? Because he's never been charged with a crime. But pictures of Wilson are out there, everywhere, including one that reportedly shows him in a hospital bed, stitched up and badly bruised. Our team of investigators we work with from across the country looked into that photo and who was behind it. Here's 5 on your sides, Brendan Keefe.
And the wait for the grand jury's decision has created an information vacuum. In the absence of facts, rumors and outright lies have permeated the public's perception of what really happened in Ferguson. Now people are poised to take real action based on fake news. This photo was widely shared on the internet with the question, why aren't the media releasing the photos of police officer Darren Wilson's injuries? Because this is not Darren Wilson. It's motocross rider Jim McNeil, and the photo was posted back in 2006. This is a perfect example of an intentionally fake news story. Note the headline, George Zimmerman arrested while visiting Ferguson. That never happened. It starts with a viral story, but how does it get spread? Like a virus, when you and I click the share button. Check out over here. More than 500,000 shares on Facebook and then 335,000 likes. Those are only the direct shares and direct tweets, nearly 2,500, not counting all the retweets and then shares of shares on Facebook and email.
ARCH works in conjunction with fire, EMS, and local law enforcement, as well as 911 dispatch centers. We were able to follow them along for a mock rescue effort to see how they operate. Time is of the essence for these men.
I'm addicted to it.
Their office is in the sky.
It's the most meaningful night in sports, honoring athletes and coaches from around the country for their character and class.
It's not necessarily win or lose. We're coaching the kids to have them grow up and be good citizens and be good people.
Shining a spotlight on incredible displays of integrity and perseverance.
I didn't want to lose because if I lost, I was afraid that that'd be the last time you'd see me wrestle.
Tonight, we celebrate those who set an example of sportsmanship in the tradition of Stan the Man Musial, one of baseball's greatest players and ambassadors. These are the 2014 Musial Awards.
The voice of civil rights pioneer Frankie Muse Freeman speaks volumes today.
The whole city, the whole country needs to focus on the value of racial diversity.
Her voice, 97 years strong, stronger than hate, violence, or any show of force.
That is an urgent need that has to be accepted by the government, by the schools, by the individuals.
Frankie Muse Freeman, continuing to bring St. Louis together.
After their exhaustive review of the evidence, the grand jury deliberated over 2 days, making their final decision. They determined that no probable cause exists to file any charge against Officer Wilson and returned a no true bill on each of the 5 indictments.
Prosecutor Bob McCullough began with sympathies for the family of Michael Brown, and because the investigation might not be perceived as full and fair, McCullough decided the evidence in this case would be released in the name of transparency. All the evidence in this case was shared by federal and local authorities. All 12 jurors were present for every session. They met 25 times since August 20th. They heard 70 hours of testimony, heard 3 medical examiners, hundreds of photos. McCullough said they are the only people who heard from every witness and heard all the evidence.
And of course, he says his heart goes out to the Brown family, but all facts were presented to the grand jury, and this is what they decided. But we do understand looting has taken place and started before Bob McCullough had even finished his press conference.
That won't be done by throwing bottles. That won't be done by smashing car windows.
Well, looks like we have a fire.
That's a St. Louis County police car.
And it may be the same one that was busted into and rocked by protesters originally. Lisa Zigman is with us, and she has some information about Darren Wilson's testimony. Lisa?
Yeah, you're going to hear Darren Wilson's testimony as he gave it to the FBI agents for the first time. All right, let's begin. And it starts with an FBI agent, and he says, "How is he assaulting you?" And then Darren Wilson says, "The first time he had struck me somewhere in this area, but it was like a glancing blow because I was able to defend a little bit. After that, I was doing just scrambling, trying to get his arms out of my face and him from grabbing me and everything else. He turned to he's at my vehicle, he turned to his left and handed the first subject. He said, 'Here, take these.' He was holding several packs of cigarillos, which was just what was stolen from the market, several packs of cigarillos. We're going to toss this back to the set right now with Mike and Ann.
Okay, Lisa and Russ, thanks. We'll get back to you, but we now want to go back to a scene in Ferguson right now because we understand there are businesses on fire near the McDonald's
Saw several people looting that dollar store. They broke down the windows. They went inside the dollar store. They just started bringing things out. We also saw them try and hit another little store, and I believe it was a cellular store that was boarded up. They were trying to get the boards down from that store. And in fact, actually, my photographer, John Kelly, and I were eventually able to get out of that area. And before we left, we saw them break into the Walgreens, and they were taking things out of the Walgreens.
The overall theme at this news conference that we had about 10 minutes ago, just very disappointed. You hear, I think it was either Katherine Johnson or Chief Belmar saying, basically tearing at the fabric of the community. Guys.
All right, Ryan Dean. Yeah, that definitely sums it up. And of course, this is a two-way conversation. We've been hearing from you. We have a full staff of social media experts helping us out, helping us navigate through this story. We have Gannett people who have come in. In a little bit, we're going to hear from Bree Smith. She's been tracking on some of the stories that have been trending.
And it sounds like Bree is ready for us. So Bree, what can you tell us? What are you seeing out there?
Well, last night we started using a hashtag STLTogether, and it actually began trending across the country. And it's pretty amazing to hear the voices coming together about our community. And that's really what I want to share with you right now. And I also want to invite folks at home. Another one that I can show you from Carson. St. Louis has been my home for 2.5 years now. Watching this news is breaking my heart. Why destroy your own home? Hashtag STLTogether, hashtag peace. Some really beautiful images too. Take a look at this one, folks at Target. We are one team with many differences, but we all work together and smile along the way. Hashtag smiles, hashtag STLTogether.
This is our moment, St. Louis. Whatever the grand jury decides, we can be an example for the rest of the world. Everyone is watching what we'll do next, and violence isn't the answer. Attacks on people, businesses, and the home won't change anything. Let's stand together as a community, and the world will say, look how St. Louis worked out their differences. Look how they picked up the pieces, listened, and made positive change together. Prayer is powerful. Peace is possible together.
We followed some of the people of Ferguson from before the decision was announced to the devastating early morning hours. This was last night. Our Boyd Huppert captures the raw emotions from those hours.
Like islanders in a hurricane, businesses in Ferguson tried to hold back the storm.
We are moments away from an announcement of the grand jury.
I just hope that everybody stay calm tonight and keep the peace in the street.
Protesters are gathering.
But when the decision was announced,
no probable cause exists.
The fury swelled.
Man, f this! I'm angry. I'm angry. It's about to go down, man.
Disperse immediately.
Both sides will blame the other for what happened after that.
They threw tear gas at the entire crowd.
The gas did its job.
Blow your nose. How do I get it out of your nose?
But smoke was followed.
That's what's burning. 2 police cars.
By fires.
Wild night.
An auto parts store, a pizza place.
These people work very hard for this business right here. Still, we attack and burn down a black business. And everybody's saying, well, it's the out-of-towners that is doing it. No, it's the local people that stay in the community, that go in there every day, that know what they was doing.
And in they went. A title company, a laundromat, a convenience store. Fires with no one to fight them, and only slow-footed looters with a worry of being caught.
It's sickening. It's heartbreaking.
The forecast for calm was not to be, as a wicked storm had its way.
All we wanted was peace. That's all we wanted.
Boyd Huppert, News Channel 5, Ferguson.
Watch.
Courage, stamina, willpower.
Men and women, older and younger, professional and amateur.
With that, man. I'm gonna see you around, all right?
Perpetual optimism, spirited leadership.
Good job, big boy. Good job. Good job.
Enduring strength. They are the heart of St. Louis sports.
Well, Mike, running the 400 meters is one of the most difficult things to do in track. It's just a long, painful sprint. But at Ladue High School, there's a young lady who, after what she has overcome, is not going to let a little 400 meters bother her.
This is what it looks like when you're running on the track with sight. This is what it looks like without sight. This is Annie Donnell's life, and she's not asking for sympathy.
I think that anyone who is blind or visually impaired, or really anyone, can do anything they want to do, so this is what I'm doing it.
What Annie is doing is running track for Ladue High School. The 16-year-old junior runs the 400 meters. Her running partner, Allison Morley, is literally connected with her with a tether and helps her on the turns.
Curving. I've always liked how smart she is. It's always amazing to me. She can tell even when people are behind us, and I can't tell when people are behind us, she'll pull me aside. People behind us, get out of the way. And she's like my guide when I'm not guiding her.
Annie is plenty smart. A near 4.0 grade point average, taking honors classes at Ladue with a textbook in Braille. Being blind since birth is not going to deprive this girl from an enriching high school experience.
Quite honestly, I really forget about it during the day. I just go throughout the day, and I don't really let it stop me at all.
She's not winning medals, but Annie Donnell is winning respect.
The more I work with her, the more courageous I feel like she is. First of all, the track is full of people running, and she can't see them. She can hear them coming by her, but yet she maintains that composure when she's out on the track. I don't know if I could do that.
She will compete in the Ladue Invitational on Saturday, and she is one well-rounded young lady. In addition to sports and school, she sings for the St. Louis Children's Choir. What an incredible girl.
Wow, so talented. Thank you.
It's that time of the year. A time for heroes and icons. Where red is the true color of fall. Where new names are added to a rich October tradition. And where the eye is cast on present and future glory. It's all captured here. This is the Cardinal Nation Show.
These days, it's on a virtual lockdown, but it's by no means landlocked. When Soviet leaders of the last century wanted sun, they came to Sochi. When today's Russian wealthy want time on the Black Sea, Sochi. And when the country won the Winter Olympics, its president wanted them in Sochi to show off to the world.
This is a Winter Olympics where you might need to worry more about sunburn than frostbite. In fact, just outside the main venue for the Winter Olympics, you can put in a little time on the beach. It's even warm enough to test the water.
It's a structure years in the making, a new gateway to the West.
Like history is going to be here after I die, you know, way long after I die.
One generation's grand undertaking, built with muscle, sweat, and tears.
He was a very good dad, very good son, and he was a very good worker.
A tribute to a man who gave his best, and to countless men and women who represent America's best.
Stan Musial and vets together, there's nothing more Midwest.
Simply beautiful. Strikingly complex.
We can sit back and we can reminisce on, hey, we put that together. We poured that concrete.
This is the making of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, a landmark of legend. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Over the next hour, we'll show you the highs and lows of the 4-year construction project to build this new bridge.
Building bridges over the Mississippi River is nothing new for those of us in St. Louis, but never before have we documented each step from beginning to end so closely. It's been said that friends are the family you choose. They're the ones who stand by your side when you need it most. In tonight's Making a Difference report, a lesson in friendship from two people who can't really be called old friends. At Central Elementary in Union, Missouri, the best teachers may just be two students.
Hi, Mr. Camera. They are both individually incredible.
First graders Vincent Butterfield and Zach Gossage are very good friends and often very silly.
Why does the chicken cross the playground?
Why?
To get to the other slide.
But recently, there wasn't a lot to laugh about.
It was terrifying.
Last June, after feeling ill and tired for weeks, Zach was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, a fast-growing cancer of the white blood cells.
As a parent, you want to make sure that nothing bad ever happens to your child, and when something does, you want to be able to fix it. And I couldn't.
Still, while everybody around him took it hard, Zach took it in stride. Despite frequent trips to the hospital, he almost never missed a day of school.
Because I get to play with Vincent outside at recess.
As for Vincent, he started asking questions and learning about cancer.
It's when your white blood cell and your red blood cell fight.
Then he learned that Zach's treatments were expensive.
We had been making these scarves just like this, and he just kind of said it would be cool if we could make a whole bunch of these and sell them.
He sold more than 20, earning a couple of $100.
You raised $200? That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and who did you give it to?
Zach.
Vincent also found out that Zach might lose his hair because of the chemotherapy treatments.
I have a dream.
So one day he showed up to Mrs. Kester's first grade class wearing a stocking cap.
And he said, Mrs. Kester, I have a surprise for Zach. And I said, well, you do? And he said, yes, I do. And he pulls off his stocking cap, and here I see that he shaved his head.
I cut it off.
You cut off your hair? How come?
To make Zach feel like he's not the only one without any hair.
Come on in.
Zach continues to get treatments and continues to come to school every day.
He comes in and you say, how are you? And he says, fine.
And Vincent, well, he may be young, but he's teaching us the oldest lessons.
What is friendship? What is friendship?
A beautiful thing.
Indeed it is.
Hi.
Clearly, wisdom doesn't always come with age.
Okay, let's go.
Here's the best news about this story. Zach is now in remission. Though he does not have visible cancer cells in his body, he will continue to take chemotherapy treatments for 2 more years.
Saving lives in seconds is something specialists who deliver high-risk babies do every day. Kay Quinn follows a local couple expecting twins into the operating room for those critical moments that will frame the rest of their and their babies' lives.
Hi. Julie Branham's casual greeting plays down the seriousness of the moment. The twin girls she's carrying share a placenta. For weeks, just one of them has been getting most of the nutrients. The smaller of the twins has stopped growing.
Unfortunately, growth has been disrupted, and we're to a point now that we've determined that the babies are better off out than in.
Even the larger twin could experience dangerous complications. Dr. David Super at Mercy Children's Hospital prepared for a C-section. It's 3.5 weeks before Julie's due date. Husband Craig records every moment.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Breaking news tonight in Ferguson, where tensions reach a boiling point following an officer-involved shooting that left a teenager dead. Good evening. Police officers from every jurisdiction in the St. Louis area are heading to Ferguson tonight. 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot and killed after a struggle with Ferguson police yesterday afternoon. Tensions boiled over tonight near the intersection of West Florissant and Ferguson. And News Channel 5's Elizabeth Matthews was caught in the middle. She joins us now live. Liz?
That's right, Mike. We are a little safer right now. We are at Solway Avenue and West Florissant. That's just down the street from where we were, where that police barricade was and where the crowd was creeping ever closer. We do see that police barricade, even though we're further away from where we were, because it looks like that police barricade has pushed back. They're trying to funnel out the crowd that we were talking about earlier, that crowd that kept pushing up towards that barricade. We see that police line, even though we're nowhere near where we were before because of that funneling efforts. The police chopper is in the skies right now. When we came over to this area near Solway Avenue, there was not a lot of people here, but because of that funneling effort, there are a ton of people here coming off that street, coming off West Florissant Avenue. Now, we have heard that there has been looting. We saw with our own eyes the looting at the liquor store where people rushed, went through the glass, went in to get stuff, supplies from the liquor store. We also saw that there was a fire behind a strip mall. That's all kind of in that same area on West Florissant Avenue. That went on for about an hour. Now, this all started when it was supposed to be a very peaceful vigil tonight for Michael Brown, turned into this. We do want to stress that not everyone in that march was participating in the efforts approaching those police. I want to say about a quarter of the people marching down the street for that vigil was part of that effort. Part of the effort pushing against police. We also know that the Quick Trip was broken into, the glass was busted out, and a lot of people going in, grabbing supplies, stealing from that Quick Trip tonight. Complete unrest really in the streets tonight. Just looking around, I see Webster Groves police, I see Chesterfield police, I see Delwood police, you name it, they're here. We keep seeing more police officers. We see more police officers coming onto the scene and dealing with this situation here. Like I said, the police choppers in the skies, people are standing around not knowing what to do. They don't want to go home. They're upset. Like I said earlier, a very fine line between anger and sadness. Mike, back to you.
Elizabeth, before you get away, we have been told that multiple police vehicles were severely damaged. Did you witness anything like that?
We have not seen any of that. I did hear about that, and when we were in the middle between that police barricade and where that crowd was pushing at them, I heard screams and cheers. It sounded like the crowd was actually cheering for something. I turned around and ran down to the end of where that crowd was and didn't see anything. I did see a police officer kind of pull a U-ey and go back out to a safer area, but we did not see any cars flipped up on the flipped upside down.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Stand by. We will get back to you for more updates. Christina Coleman is also in the thick of the unrest. She joins us now live. And Christina, what have you seen tonight?
Well, I've seen quite a few people actually trying to test the officers. Just, if you can see right behind me, they are just kind of lined up and people are shouting. But these officers have not budged. They're just standing there kind of taking the shouts and the insults. And so it's almost like people are just waiting for something to happen. We have been out here for a little bit more than an hour. I was trying to meet up with Elizabeth Matthews, but officers turned me right around. They're like, you can't go back there, ma'am. This is for your safety. It's getting dangerous. As you can see there's more and more shouting at these officers, but they haven't budged. They're standing their ground. And so we have just kind of been out here waiting to see what's going to happen, Mike.
All right, Christina, we will get back to you as well. Civic leaders are calling for a concrete long-term plan to improve relations between police and area residents. And earlier tonight, Christina was there as they gathered in Ferguson.
We shall not be moved. State Representative and Chairman of the Black Legislative Caucus told the crowd at the prayer vigil to take their anger to the polls.
Our tax dollars pay the police department, not to kill us, not to beat us up, but to protect us. And we're not getting that protection. You change the culture by changing the people who condone this at the top.
People were out here for hours in front of the police department, upset and trying to show police how frustrated they are.
There were so many witnesses to what happened and how the young man died, and there's outrage. There is a certain amount of fear to think that this could happen to someone else.
State Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal believes a fair investigation could ease the tension.
We need to make sure that we have a police review oversight committee that goes through cases like this so that peers in the community know exactly what's going on.
Pastor Tracy Blackman is urging everyone to work with their community leaders to come up with a detailed strategic plan to make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
But we are concerned about the violence in our neighborhoods, the racial tension between police and the communities that they serve.
That was Christina Coleman reporting. Now, St. Louis County Police are leading the investigation, but the Attorney General of the United States has now asked the Justice Department to monitor developments in the case. Police held a news conference this morning to give their side of the story, and as Grant Bissell reports, You'll hear it's far different from the story told by witnesses.
St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar says it started with two young men walking down the street.
One of those individuals at the time came into as the officer was exiting his police car, allegedly pushed the police officer back into the car, where he physically assaulted the police officer. It is our understanding at this point in the investigation that within the police car there was a struggle over the officer's weapon.
Belmar says the officer fired at least one shot inside the vehicle, then got out and fired more.
The officer, in fact, shot the subject, and the subject, they were fatal injuries.
Dorian Johnson says he was walking with Brown when the officer approached and started the altercation.
He said, get the F on the sidewalk, and we told the officer we was not but a minute away from our destination, and we would shortly be out the street.
Johnson tells me the officer then blocked their path with his vehicle and grabbed Brown through the window. He says during the struggle, the officer shot Brown once, and the two teens tried to run away before the officer got out of the vehicle.
His weapon was already drawn when he got out the car. He shot again, and once my friend felt that shot, he turned around and he put his hands in the air, and he started to get down, but the officer still approached with his weapon drawn, and he fired several more shots.
Police confirmed today Brown did not have a weapon when he was killed.
He was unarmed. He ran for his life. They shot him, and he fell. He put his arms up to let them know he was compliant and that he was unarmed, and they shot him twice more, and he fell to the ground and died.
Witnesses tell me investigators gathered cell phones that may contain video evidence of the shooting, a potential key to unlocking exactly what happened.
They killed this boy for no reason, and there should be justice about this.
Grant Bissell, News Channel 5.
So when is deadly force justified? John Gaskin III with the NAACP told me tonight what happened in Ferguson was murder. I asked the Ferguson police chief about protocol and when an officer can use deadly force.
In any situation, the use of deadly force is called for when the officer is in fear of his own safety or in fear of the public safety. So if the finding is that occurred, then that would go to the justification. However, once the threat is over, then the officer has to obviously go to a lower level of force.
We certainly believe that it is a murder. From our conversations with close officials with the St. Louis County Police Department, there were way more than 2 shells found at the scene of the accident. And for a young man to have been unarmed, at least from the information that we have right now, for him to have even been shot that many times, to the NAACP, that's a murder.
Now, both men are urging calm. Later in the broadcast, my entire interview with the police chief and what he told me about the officer involved being picked up for questioning today and what the NAACP is doing to get the FBI involved in the investigation. Thousands of people have turned to the web to voice their opinions on Michael Brown's death. Under the hashtag RIP Mike Brown, Keem tweeted, "A shame how innocent teenagers are getting killed and nothing is being done about it. Truly a shame." On the other side of the coin, St. Louis County Council candidate Wesley Bell tweeted, "Best thing about Ferguson is our sense of community. This is the time to come together. Let your voices be heard, but peacefully." Those were just 2 of the thousands of tweets that were out there surrounding this developing situation. Reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter. Even when we're not on the air, the discussion always continues on KSDK.com. Leave a comment under the story on our homepage. A live look at Ferguson as we head to break. Police still trying to restore order there. Much more coming up in just a couple of minutes. We continue to follow breaking news in Ferguson. Chaos on the ground, riots and violence in the wake of Mike Brown's death. He was the teenager who was unarmed and shot and killed by a Ferguson police officer. Christina Coleman is back to join us live, and she is in the thick of all this. Christina?
That's right. We're just a few feet away from where officers have lined up facing the crowd. People have their iPads up and their phones. They are watching people shout at the officers and I guess just waiting to see if something's going to happen. I guess they want to get it all on video. You can kind of see it there. They're still shouting. Police are just standing there. They're not budging. They're not moving. They're guarded. You've got the SWAT team out here. Ferguson Police Department called for extra 60. We just heard what sounded like gunshots. I'm not sure sure what that is. It's unconfirmed. It just sounded like that, and people are shouting in the background. Again, there's just so much going on here. Earlier this afternoon, we were out here for a prayer vigil. Totally different scene, completely different. People were just praying. They were very calm. They were asking for change. And that was just a completely different dynamic out here with so many people upset. A store was looted. You have people trying to run past the police barricades. And so, we're just kind of hanging out here. I tried to catch up with Elizabeth Matthews, my coworker. She is somewhere over there. I tried to meet up with her, but officers literally told me, ma'am, get out of there. This is not safe. Mike?
All right, Christina, the most important thing is that you stay safe at this hour. We will get back to you, and hopefully it will be a little safer at that time. As I mentioned, Ferguson police have called in 60 extra police officers from jurisdictions all over the area. The president of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, Louis Reed, just tweeted, "The loss of Mike Brown is tragic and devastating to his family, friends, and our entire community. We must not let more violence carry the day." We will continue to monitor this story, and we will have more coverage in just a couple of minutes. But we do want to let you know that thousands of students are going to head back to school tomorrow. St. Louis Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Kelvin Adams reached out to students and their families ahead of the big day. He encouraged the congregation at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church to go the extra mile to achieve greatness this school year. Rockwood and Riverview Gardens are just a few of the county districts starting school on Monday. On the Illinois side, Collinsville students will also start class tomorrow. So what can the kids expect at the bus stop tomorrow morning, Mike Roberts?
Probably fog is the biggest thing, Mike. Here's a look at the supermoon as advertised from our high perspective. It's looking very great. I've got some fantastic photos to share with you in a moment. I also want to show you the radar. We have some storms to the south of St. Louis, a long way, still down in Dent County, some in Iron County. These are moving away from St. Louis, and actually they're moving away from you guys as well along the stationary boundary. So what it leaves behind is more fog and a few showers, no thunderstorms, and temperatures with a humid start to the first day of school for a lot of folks in the low 70s, Mike. I'll have more in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks. Bill Cornelius has died. He's the former president and CEO of Union Electric, the company now known as Ameren. Cornelius died Wednesday at his home in Huntley, where he was also an alderman. Loved ones say Cornelius was diagnosed with cancer in June. His official cause of death has not been released. He was 82 years old. Police are still searching for a man who walked into St. Anthony Medical Center's hospice center with a gun. The entire South County Hospital campus was on lockdown for nearly 6 hours Saturday morning. Investigators say the man walked into the hospice center demanding drugs. No one was taken hostage. No one was hurt. The suspect ran off through an unsecured door. No word yet on his description. We'll be right back. We have new video into our newsroom now. Crowds kicking a St. Louis County police car passing by. There have been reports of unrest and looting all night long. Chaos in Ferguson following the death of a young 18-year-old unarmed teenager. Elizabeth Matthews has been on scene all night, and she joins us live. Liz?
That's right, Mike, and unfortunately I'm not going to stand in front of the camera right now just because there's a lot of people around. If I stand in front of the camera, a lot of people they'll come up to the camera, and we're just trying to get a sense, give you a perspective of exactly what's going on. Again, we're still at Solway Avenue and West Florissant Avenue. Like I said in my earlier report, it seems like the police are trying to funnel people off of West Florissant down this way towards Solway, but this is the first time really that I've seen a crowd of people not chanting. For the past 24 hours, every time a crowd gathered like this, a group of people, even if it was 5 people or if it was, dare I say, 500 people, they were chanting, talking about justice and asking for peace. This is the first time that a crowd has formed that people are not chanting. It doesn't really seem like they know what to do. They don't want to go home. They're still upset. Police presence is still stronger than ever out here, and the police chopper is still up. It seems like the chopper keeps going kind of from the neighborhood, the apartment complex where the shooting happened yesterday, to this street. We don't know. We don't have a crew in the apartment complex right now to tell you what's going on right now, but it does seem like the story is out here on West Florissant Avenue. Again, this all started tonight when the family of Michael Brown, the victim in the shooting, asked the public for a peaceful vigil tonight. Right now we hear some clapping Do not know what that is about. There are some people walking away from West Florissant Avenue right now. So we're going to stay on scene and keep you updated. Mike, back to you.
All right, Elizabeth, stay safe. Thanks very much. It's important to remember the person at the center of all this, Michael Brown. He's the 18-year-old teen who was killed at the hands of the Ferguson police officer on Saturday. Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments when the deadly incident unfolded. Since then, there has been all kinds of unrest in the forms of protests, rallies, and riots. It is back to school tomorrow for a lot of people in the St. Louis area, and Mike Roberts is here with the forecast.
Fight against the fog tomorrow and maybe a few showers. Mike coming home. Slightly different story, isolated storms. The supermoon has been everything it was advertised to be. Our full moon is especially bright because of the Earth's proximity to a very close orbit, the closest, as a matter of fact, to the moon. Look at this shot Larry Tichenal sent to us, but Chris Trudeau also sent us a lovely shot. Beautiful stuff, but it is hazy out there. And to the south of St. Louis, and not that terribly far away, we've had some pretty rough weather. Had a couple of thunderstorm warnings in effect earlier today, late this afternoon, really, in Dent and Phelps counties. Those are the places, along with Iron and Reynolds, where we still have some active weather, but not much and not for long. All those storms that you see, they're right along this frontal boundary, which is going to pretty much stay where it is. It has lifted a little bit to the north, being moved by that low pressure system, but that low pressure system is tracking towards southeastern Missouri and southern Illinois. So if we see storms tonight, it will be in the Boot Heel, maybe as far north as Perryville, Mount Vernon, and that should be about it. Might see a few in Fredericktown. The rest of us will have cloudy skies. The rest of us will have fog again. And then we get a bit of a break mid-morning through the latter portion of the afternoon. Skies clear a little bit, but we wait on that cold front. That cold front comes in tomorrow in the afternoon and evening, both ahead of it and even behind it, scattered showers and storms. And then we are done. Great weather is going to be moving back in as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, it's back to school, everybody, and so that means tomorrow in the morning, a little bit of fog, maybe a shower, 72 degrees. That's not the issue. And I don't think it's going to be a big issue in the afternoon either, but we probably will have scattered showers and maybe a thunderstorm with a top temperature of 85 degrees. Wholly different will the second day of school be. 68 degrees with partly cloudy skies to start, and then coming home at the bus stop, a gorgeous Tuesday, 82 degrees. And as a matter of fact, because of this trough of low pressure, all of the rest of the week we're going to be looking at cooler than normal temperatures. This thing has been recurring all year. But here's a change. After this week, things really start to turn around, and we'll have something we haven't had in quite a while. At the end of the 7-day forecast, we look ahead to the following week, so a week from tomorrow, and it looks like we would see above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. It's been a while since that's happened. Well, at the moment, what we've got is a humid evening. It's 75 degrees at Lambert, 74 degrees in Springfield, 78 degrees is the current temperature in Springfield, Missouri. And at Lambert right now, we've got plenty to think about in the way of visibility is being reduced, because our current temperature is 75 degrees, dew point temperature is 69. So we're already again seeing a little bit of fog in some of the valleys. 84 the high, 72 degrees the low. Scattered showers are likely in a few spots overnight, but not a widespread rainfall and fog. 72 degrees should do it for your low. Tomorrow, variable clouds, scattered showers, and a few storms at a high of 85 degrees. And then, even though everybody's going back to the school, weather-wise, we get the rest of the week off, and we get to look at clear skies and nice weather until Friday into next weekend, Mike.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. A young girl gets a double lung transplant. Tonight, the unique way she's giving back. We continue to follow the breaking news in Ferguson, where riots and looting followed a rally for 18-year-old Michael Brown. You can see the heavy police presence. Michael Brown was an unarmed teenager who was shot and killed by Ferguson police on Saturday. We just learned that the Missouri Highway Patrol tactical team is headed to the scene. Chief Sam Dotson tweeted, he's with City Police, that we have sent officers to backfill St. Louis County police officers in the southern part of the county, because those officers have been moved to North County. You can see the police line in Ferguson and the police dogs. It's a frightening scene there tonight. Charlie Dooley, the county executive in St. Louis County, just spoke with Attorney General Koster and Governor Nixon. He says in a tweet, he says, we're all on the same page, just need people to keep calm and disperse so that no one gets hurt. We continue to follow and monitor these developments in Ferguson, and we will let you know If anything more happens, you can see the police apparently moving the line just a bit in Ferguson at this hour. We will get back to those pictures and reports as soon as details become available. We do want to break away now. We could all use some good news. And a teenager from Avon, Indiana is recovering from a double lung transplant here in St. Louis. Her older sister died in January before getting a transplant, but Rosalie was one of the lucky ones. She got her lungs just 3 days after getting listed. As we learn in tonight's Making a Difference report, before surgery, she made an unusual deal with her doctor. At St. Louis Children's Hospital, they know the best medicine doesn't always come in a bottle.
How are you?
Good.
14-year-old Rosalie Albright is back for another checkup.
We have spent a lot of time in the hospitals. I've had nurses tell me that I should have an honorary nursing degree.
I mean, it's so great to see her.
What she's been through has almost been enough to stop the music. You see, ever since she was a little girl, Rosalie has expressed herself through song.
It's what she loves. She loves to sing. She loves to dance.
Which isn't easy when you have cystic fibrosis, a disorder that affects the lungs, making it difficult to breathe.
Kids can be quite functional, doing fine. They get an infection, and after the infection, their lung function deteriorates and it's not the same.
Rosalie powered through, appearing in one musical after another.
I would have to pick sometimes what scenes I could be in and which ones I couldn't because I would get out of breath.
We had oxygen tanks and chairs in both wings so that she could get off the stage, sit down, get the oxygen on, and recover.
Then life hit a sour note. Rosalie was told her lungs were failing and she needed a transplant. But before surgery, her doctor made her a deal.
If he gave her the new lungs, that she had to sing for him.
And it was kind of neat, and that was kind of like I could see the sparkle in her eyes.
Are you excited?
Fast forward a few weeks, and the stage is set. So how are you feeling right now?
Better.
You're feeling better?
What better?
Those words were music to a doctor's ears.
I'm gonna bake you. I'm gonna make you a donkey pot pie.
See if the fish are out today.
The road to recovery is still a long one, but the prognosis is good.
I can't help but to think the fact that she has such strong lungs, if you will, coming into this, that in many ways with her ability to sing and belt it out, that it's going to help her.
I'm gonna shake you.
A young performer on her way back to center stage with the power of music and medical science in perfect harmony.
Kind of like the Visa commercial. It's priceless. It really is.
Rosie's getting stronger every day, and so is her voice. That song, by the way, was from Shrek the Musical, a show Rosie hopes to be in when she returns to Indiana in October. A reminder, if you know of a unique story about someone making a difference, let me know personally by email at mbush@ksdk.com. More live team coverage from Ferguson, where there are reports of more rioting and looting tonight. Stay with us.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
It's 10:32 on a Sunday night, and we continue to follow breaking news in Ferguson as tensions continue to boil over after a rally to remember Michael Brown. He is the 18-year-old teen who was killed at the hands of a Ferguson police officer on Saturday. Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments when the deadly incident unfolded. Since then, there has been unrest in the form of protests, rallies, and riots. Our Christina Coleman is live on scene once again. And Christina, I guess we're all wondering, are things starting to calm down at this hour?
They are. It's a big difference a few minutes can make. The police were actually out here with their canine units, the dogs. They were just out here and just kind of pushing that crowd back. So the crowd that was here just moments ago is completely gone. They're down at the end of the street. Officers are just kind of walking forward and moving that shouting crowd back. At first, there was just no telling where this was going to go. We weren't sure how long people were going to be out here. People in the crowd were shouting, well, I guess we're going to stay out here as long as you guys are. And so, I mean, there was just no telling. So we were out here just kind of waiting to see if things got violent. They did not at this location where I'm at with the people that were yelling upon the officers. But as you can see behind me, the road is still blocked off. We can't get any farther. A vehicle was being hit as the crowd was moving that way. Officers came up to us. They were like, is that your van over there? But it was not our vehicle that was being hit by some of the people walking that way. There's just no telling how much damage has been done out here right now. Mike?
All right, Christina, thanks very much. This dramatic scene has been playing out all night long. Police just trying to keep crowds under control and having a difficult time doing it. Anger and frustration from residents after that police officer shoots and kills an unarmed teenager. Now, Chief Thomas Jackson with the Ferguson Police Department was in our studios earlier tonight. We were told this morning at the news conference that there was a struggle for the officer's gun at some point. As far as you know, was the officer injured in this struggle?
The officer was taken to the hospital for a swollen face. Yeah, one side of his face was swollen.
Do we know why? What happened?
I really can't talk to the testimony, the evidence, because I don't have it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Sure. What is the protocol in this situation? Let's just say, at least from what we know now, that there was a struggle for the gun, and that the officer gets a hold of the gun, and the teen is no longer in possession of the gun, and he is either running away or he's got his hands up or whatever the witnesses are saying. What is the protocol for the officer? Do you use deadly force in that situation?
In any situation, the use of deadly force is called for when the officer is in fear of his own safety or in fear of the public safety. So if the finding is that occurred, then that would go to the justification. However, once the threat is over, then the officer has to obviously go to a lower level of force. But he's still...
And a lower level would be chasing, using a mace, taser, something along those lines?
Correct, a less lethal weapon. But the officer still, once an individual has committed a crime, is obligated to make an arrest. So,
can you tell me if the officer is white?
I can't, but we'll be releasing information soon. And
can you tell me, was the officer picked up for questioning today?
He was questioned today, yes he was.
And that's the usual protocol in these situations?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
He was questioned initially, and then this was a second.
What about any video, dash cam video, security camera video? Even if you don't get him on the dash cam, is there some audio?
No, I wish we did have that, and we've actually talked to the apartment complexes about installing cameras and partnering with us to do that. But I did just recently purchase dash cams and body-worn cams. Unfortunately, we haven't, that we just got them and they're still in the boxes.
So as far as you know, there's no video of the actual incident?
None that we can find. There's lots of telephone video of the aftermath immediately following.
Right.
But there were no cameras in the complex that caught it.
Chief Belmar said this morning that toxicology reports will take about 6 weeks.
Yes.
Who is tested?
Both.
Both the officer?
The officer and the deceased.
And the deceased.
Yes.
So they're tested for whatever might be in their system, drugs or what have you?
Correct. Yeah, it's a wide range of stuff.
Since the investigation has been turned over to St. Louis County Police, what role will your department have going forward?
In the investigation?
Yes.
None, really. We turn the entire thing over to them. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that we have a really good professional investigation, which certainly my guys are able to do. But on top of that, we wanted to avoid any appearance of impropriety. And our only goal is we want to find out the truth. We want to know what happened, and then we want to proceed from there.